I have beans, green beans, grown here. Beans. I don't know how to share with you. I can't. I can only share little bits and say I have never been so excited. I don't know if this place is a bit higgledy-piggledy and a bit of a mess, but I love it.
Rachel Carlson once said, "Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts." I have, for as long as I can remember, taken myself off to walk in nature. Woods are my favourite. I trained as a forest school teacher and took pleasure in seeing the joy of facilitating children and adults to connect with woodlands.
Oh wow, so beautiful. We're walking through this forest and it's like maybe we'll get to see the elves.
Now, here on this farm, I begin a new journey, a new way to connect to nature, learning to work in harmony with a piece of land on the side of a mountain.
So I'm sat in what is the start of our growing journey. I'm a complete novice. My mum's a gardener and my sister is an amazing gardener. They grow all sorts of things and yeah, she loves it. But for me, I've only ever lived in a place where you had I grew things, but in pots. I had a yard, small yard. I'm from the UK, so a yard for me is a concrete little square, not a great big garden. And again, wherever I lived, I would always get little pots and put flowers in, but never have space like this. So I'm a complete novice, and what I'm reading about and finding out about is permaculture. So my love of nature connection, and you work with nature and not against, and it just seems to fit. So I'm at the bottom of the mountain in terms of learning about permaculture and what do you do. So I don't know whether we've made a mistake in getting the land turned over. So our friends were like, oh yeah, we can turn the land over for you. And I'm like, okay. And then I started reading about permaculture and I'm like, should we have done that? I'm not sure. Anyway, we're growing some vegetables. We just put something in as quickly as possible, which is great because I'm so excited. I've got some strawberries growing, there's some leeks, there's already tomatoes, there's over there we're growing some beans, and there's beans appearing, and it's just really exciting. But the other thing that's really interesting is this area of the garden. I know there's potatoes coming through because obviously they planted potatoes here, but there's lots of other things coming up, and you sit and you think, are these useful? Can I use these? Do I get rid of them? Do I cut them back? Whatever they are. So there seems to be something growing now that I've identified as amaranth, something called amaranth, and it's got a red root. So it's like, okay, so I was trying to read up about that. There's something else down there that I'm looking at it thinking, I think you're something important, or you. So I don't know what to do. I don't know whether I should be allowing the vegetables and everything to just, and the other stuff to grow. So I have no idea when this story will appear, but if you happen to be around and listening and can offer me advice, I'd really appreciate it. I'd like to know. So I will get round to reading it, and it could be winter when you see this, but still, any help is welcome. There's this little fella here that is interesting, and as far as I understand, I think that is Amaranth. And then I identified this thing, which has some really pretty little white flowers on it now. And then you got that. What the heck is that? Are they useful? Should I keep them? What's that? Because there's a whole load of it that's growing along the path that I kind of left to get into the garden. So anyway, look, I have lettuce. And down here. Oh, look. Look, it's a tomato.
As August came, I began to take great delight in bringing something from the garden into the kitchen to use in a meal. The simple pleasure of knowing that when a recipe called for parsley, I had a ready supply, and not something I'd bought in the supermarket that sat rotting in a plastic container because I'd forgotten that I'd actually got it. Watering plants became a morning meditation, although managing water, especially in the summer, is a whole aspect to learn and experiment. We have a lot of land, and most of it, all of it, is south-facing and sits under the baking summer sun. When autumn arrived and slowly unpacked her paint box, I'd done some more research into permaculture and become fascinated by tree guilds. Trees. The idea that plants that you plant around a tree are used to mutually support each other. This fit with my love of woodlands. So I decided to experiment.
Come here.
First, I chopped back the vegetables that we'd grown over the summer and were now finished in order to make space for some trees.
Come here. You want some? Come here. Come on. Cola. Come on. Go. Here, Buzz. Come on. You can come here. Come on. Oh, she's gonna come. What's up, Buzz? You don't want to play? Huh? Huh? I'm trying to, not looking very happy, train Bozo to stay so we can work in the garden. I don't have to leave him alone in the farmyard. And at the moment, so I've been using some meat, but at the moment, he doesn't really want to play. Yeah?
Bozo seemed happy to just sit in the sun and often chooses his spots inconveniently right on the plants that I've just planted.
So one of the things that we've decided to do is to create a food forest or a fruit area here. We were going to do it down on the bottom terrace, but we realised that what we want to avoid is one day in the future the trees will grow and they'll actually maybe impede the view, and the view that we want to obscure and kind of remove is sort of in this area because it isn't very nice, particularly over there. But what you want to do is to keep that free. And if we plant too many big trees down at the bottom, they could very well grow when they're mature and be creating problems for the view. So
we've decided to kind of create like an arc here, because relatively this is south facing, so the sun is on here most of the day, and it'd be nice to just give the ground, particularly on this terrace here, just a little bit of respite, because certainly in the heat of the summer it was intense all day, so that area doesn't get any shade whatever until late in the afternoon. So we'll kind of try and create like an arc around. So all I'm going to do is, this is where we grew vegetables when we first came, and they were okay, but it wasn't the easiest of places to get to, which is something that we've learnt is, or I've learned, is plant things where they're easy to access. So hence not here, and it's just working out what we can sort of plant. So I'm just going to clear some of the ground. I'm going to try putting some cardboard down, and then some compost or whatever on the top. The ground here is that it's really nice, and I think the dilemma that I've got is everything I've read is, oh yes, have newspaper and compost and put the newspaper on the ground or put the cardboard on the ground. But then I'm looking at certain places, particularly around here, and there's a mallow growing, and I'm like, I don't want to cover that up. And there's certain plants that are coming up that you think, I don't want to cover you up. So I'm not 100% sure what to do. I'm learning, and I guess that's it. I've got to be prepared to try something and see if it works, and if it doesn't, whatever. So the doggies are having a nice afternoon with me, well, morning, or it's warm now, so. The beautiful late autumn continued, and there was more opportunity to work in the other part of the garden. Another day, another terrace. I've got my gardening gloves. I've got dirt under my fingernails. I don't think I've ever had in my entire life such dirty fingernails, but I've got my dirt under my fingernails. I've got my calluses growing on my hands. I've got various things that I need to poke out of my hands. So, and my rather filthy trousers. So we're going to have a go. I'm going to have a go at semi-making a no-dig bed. I'm just experimenting because I'm really struggling to get hold of the materials. So they're talking about cardboard, straw. I've asked one of the locals for a bale of straw, and they said they would bring it, and yes, it's not a problem, but that was 2 weeks ago and we're still asking and it hasn't arrived. So I'm going to try and use what I've got here, what I can lay my hands on, whether it's the right thing or whether it works, but I have no idea. But I've watched the videos and they've all said cardboard and compost, and we've got loads of really rich soil, quite nice soil, and I've used up cardboard that we've got from packet things that have arrived. I've got some newspaper. I'm going to try newspaper and just see what happens, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So began the experiment on the top terrace of our land. So I've made a compost bin down here out of some pallets that I asked one of my neighbours if I could have, and she happily gave them to me. So it means that all the garden waste can go here. There's some back there that I need to move. And the lovely thing about here was that I had a robin come. I don't know whether he'll be around today. It would be interesting to see if I'm working here. So it was so lovely to have. He just came and sat on here and hopped around, and robins are very special to me. They mean a lot because of the whole secret garden story and what that story means. I might have mentioned it before. I have a feeling that that's him singing. I think that's oh yeah. Yeah, that's a robin. So my job today, that's Cola barking, is we've got this top terrace. So I've already planted some lettuce. I created one of those culture mounds. I just wanted to experiment and try it. So that's just there, which now, because it gets in the nice sunshine, the dogs sit on. So I've planted some seeds and then they use it because it's like a really nice sunbed. I was like, no, so, okay, lesson learned. And I'm going to deal with this area here. So sort of, this gets quite a lot of sun for most of the day. So I'm going to see what I can do with this, and then see what we can do with this area under the tree. I'd quite like to put somewhere to go sit when it's a really sunny day, because it's really nice and shaded, and a really nice quiet spot under the apple tree. So I'd like a seat or somewhere you can just go that's secret. As ever, Bozo found his space in the sun and kept an eye on my progress. This is only the start of my journey with this land. It will take time, and I'm sure it will have much to teach me, patience being the thing that first springs to mind. Do subscribe to this channel as I post my stories and thoughts in this simple life I've been blessed with on this mountain. Thank you so much for listening. See you again soon, and do give me a like before you leave. Bye.